Okay, I'm doing a long kind of follow-up video from a video I did almost a year ago on the implications of determinism. So I'll read the comment, which reads, I appreciate your humanistic views on punishment, and I agree that our behaviors are primarily influenced by factors outside the sphere of conscious recognition. But one of the drawbacks of this belief, that being determinism, is that you might excuse your wrong behaviors and thus diminish your responsibility for them. Of course, if you apply this to the other people, that is, you would be forgiving, as you have demonstrated in this video. So yes, the idea that if we accept determinism, if we broadcast it, it would have devastating consequences is like an idea I'm hit with a lot, often by religious folks actually, who try and suggest that we have a free will, and that without this free will and this knowing that your actions will go unpunished, you do all sorts of horrible stuff. But for a start, I mean, just the way I feel about it as a determinist myself, I don't really pardon myself. I still, it's like, how can I say this? Even though I can objectively realize I'm not really responsible for any of my actions, I will still feel guilty if I wrong someone. And this is, it's like it's not particularly consistent, but it's how I am. And I compare it always to, say a relative's ashes. I'd want to commemorate them and scatter them somewhere in a place they might have hung out, for example. Now, objectively speaking, this is just utterly irrational. This is a ridiculous thing to do. What I know perfectly well that those ashes are nothing. They're dead, they're dust. There's nothing of that person in those ashes. It shouldn't really affect me one way or the other if, they're buried in a backyard or even flushed down the toilet, objectively speaking. And even though I know this very well and I don't believe there's any part of them still connected to those ashes, I would still feel devastated if, say, someone was to disrespect them or stamp on them. And that's kind of how it is. Objectively speaking, yeah, I'm not really responsible for any of my actions, but nevertheless, I will still feel rather guilty if I wrong someone. And I don't think our moral compass and our empathy is related in any way to free will and determinism. I'm pretty much sold on the fact that that is all related to how you're nurtured as a child. And if you're abused as a child, you're likely to distance yourself from empathy, sympathy, etc., and not care as much about other people. So I can't speak for everyone, but I would kind of assume that anyone who is honest enough to look at determinism and to actually get around free will, that intelligence would come with a certain compassion. It would come with a certain emotional intelligence. So yeah, we are determined. Our brains are governed by Newtonian physics. There's nothing to suggest that what the electrochemical signals firing off in our brains are not under the laws of these physical constants. And knowing this and discussing this doesn't affect our morality whatsoever, in my opinion, and I think we should discuss it. And I don't think we can isolate dangerous people for the safety of others, but I see no point in making their conditions harsh and punishable, because that just does no good whatsoever. And I have other reasons for that as well, but I won't go into that now, because I'm not feeling well, so I'm gonna go to bed. I hope you appreciated seeing the messy bed and the heater. Yeah, someone thought that was amusing, that the heater was visible in my videos. Okay, well, that's your sense of humor. You're welcome to it. I'm just kidding, of course. Right, have a happy new year.